social, and political development of Sierra Leone. The implementation of the roadmap will deliver long-term contributions such as minimizing the cost of access to ICT services, and hence widening the geographic scope of access to ICT telecom services, create new ICT-related SMEs, deepen regional and national socio-economic integration, and support economic growth. Madam Chair, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, before I end my statement, I wish to remind you all that in 2016, the United Nations Human Rights Council declared the internet as a basic human right. Equally so, in their 2017 summit in Hamburg, the G20 leaders also set out a number of action items related to bridging the digital divide along multiple dimensions, including income, age, geography, and gender, and ensure that all our citizens are digitally connected by 2025. Similarly, the AUC has adopted a digital transformation strategy in February 2020, which aims to erase the digital divide and narrow the gender digital divide. All of these visions needs to be translated into reality through a multi-stakeholder approach between the corporate sector, the AU, ECOWAS, and development partners, who need to work together to prioritize investments in ICT infrastructure, connecting the highest number of people possible to the internet at affordable prices and ending internet shutdowns. Madam Chair, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by joining other speakers to emphasize the importance of this forum and invite you all to take a collaborative approach and focus on policies that will promote digital inclusion and access, which are critical to West Africa in achieving our 2030 digital transformation goals. I thank you all very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Honorable Minister. You have spoken so eloquently on the multitude of factors and challenges that face the region, but you have also noted that as a region, we are capable of doing a lot more than we think. So thank you very much.
Thank you. On at the back.
Find a way to educate government, policymakers, and ministers to understand the power of the digital space and how it can transform society.
Young people are just talking about what you can do with the internet. They're very active on social media, and because it gives them a voice, it gives them a chance to talk to the policymakers, tell them what their frustrations are.
Well, I mean, if a nation, over 90% of people are basically just using a phone for everything, I think it's a good thing, because as soon as you've got a device, then literally your whole life is, let me not say run on it, but can be managed in a very positive way. And I think that's something that Europe and the rest of the developed world as well could learn from us as Africans, to just say you can literally just do everything you need from a device, and you can be able to disrupt the usual brick and mortar type of interactions as we know them.
So for the smartphone, I think that it's become, in quote, the next Bible, in a sense that you reach out to it for almost everything. And of course, that is where internet also plays a key role.
Back in Ghana, we have this thing called abandoned health. projects. So we started activism on that, social media, tweeting about it, tweeting at the president, and that's how we're able to cause change.
Healthcare right now actually sits on the mobile phone. So people are able to address the medical doctors for advice. In the past, it was not possible. You need to go to the hospital to be examined. But now there's also the FAQs when it comes to healthcare. So you can actually ask for especially very sensitive things that normally people would never go to the hospital to ask.
The way we use Weibo, the way we use WeChat, the way we use Twitter, all these platforms that already exist are being sort of hacked in a certain way to sort of achieve something that we really didn't think was possible.
And then, of course, there is new technology homegrown for Africa, by Africa, which is a big thing in this decade.
You have in Ghana about 90% of people between the ages of 18 and 34. When they graduate from school, be it high school or the university, they can't have access to jobs, not because they're not qualified, but because there's no space for them to work. So a lot of them are going to tech, startups, because it's the tech people who are really doing a lot of the startups in Ghana. Yeah, brilliant space. Some of them are using their artistic skills, making bags, beaded jewelry. Social media gives them a space to sell that.
And you're basically giving them an opportunity to a global market. And these startups, these technology hubs that have sprung up, within the last couple of years, have really opened up, the economic space in Africa.
Digitalization for us is not just having access to information right now in Ghana or making things convenient for us. It's also about giving people an economic voice.
padà sílé mi. Cause mama mi wọ́n wà nílé mi. I no want me person tell me say I'm too lazy. Olúwa bọ̀nà ọ̀flẹ̀lẹ̀ ni. As I dey hustle, àtàdé bàjọ́ ògùn lẹ́sì. No go talk say me I'm too lazy. Anywhere I go mo láti padà sílé mi. Cause mama mi wọ́n wà nílé mi. Funkilla. I go show you wonder what you not go believe wetin wan happen. No disturb us when the gbedu wan catch you. Like you dey sleep, but this one pass you. Hunger. At the gbedu don start wonder. From your feet all over wonder. With somebody that I wonder. Cause I'm feeling it in my soul. Something is changing, right in your face, something they scratch, don't be like jazz, bye. Cause mama mi wọ́n wà nílé mi. I no want me person tell me say too lazy. Olúwa bọ̀nà ọ̀flẹ̀lẹ̀ ni. As I dey hustle, àtàdé bàjọ́ ògùn lẹ́sì. No go talk say me I'm too lazy. Anywhere I go mo láti padà sílé mi. Cause mama mi wọ́n wà nílé mi. I go show you wonder what it wonderful. You not go believe this one pass you. Manga. I think I do not start on you. From your feet, the love on you. With somebody that I want you. Cause I'm feeling it in my soul. Something is changing. Right in your best. Yeah, oh. Something they scratch. Don't be like this. Bye, bye, bye.
Okay, the internet has become a key catalyst in driving not only our social economic way of life, but all aspects of life in one way or the other, where face-to-face interaction has now totally been shelved due to the new norm as redefined by COVID-19. How has West Africa as a sub-region, how have we adopted and adapted to this new norm? And is it basically totally, sorry, I'll take that again. How West Africa as a sub-region has adapted to this new norm is based totally on our digital inclusiveness in all aspects of how we do things and how it affects the common man on the street and the common woman in her house, wherever they may be. It is based on this new norm that our high panel discussion today, comprising various stakeholders in the policy realm, will look at digital inclusion and access in West Africa in the response to COVID-19. I now have the pleasure to introduce the moderator, Ponslet Ileleji, who has been involved in the internet governance space right from day one at the global level, as well as the setup of the West African Internet Governance Forum. He is currently the CEO of Joko Labs Banjul, which is part of the network of Joko Labs, which is a social innovation hub, which can be located across Africa. Pons, the floor is yours when you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Folake. Welcome to this high-level panel discussion today. Wherever you are in the world, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, based on where you are located. As Folake said, I'm Ponslet Ileleji. I shall be your moderator for today, which is a high-level panel discussion on digital inclusion and access in West Africa in response to COVID-19. We have several various topics. It's a very interesting topic that we are going to be discussing today. And of course, we all know that in dealing with COVID-19, one thing that has, like I said in our opening remark, one thing that has become norm is what is happening now. This is the new norm. Most of the things that could have been done face-to-face are now being done remotely. Technology has made this happen. But we also have to appreciate too that challenges have also existed, especially for the average man in West Africa, like in most parts of Africa, in technology, in able to carry out things they're supposed to do, based on them being excluded. This is why the theme for the West African Internet Governance Forum is centered around digital inclusion, and our high-level panel will be discussing about that today. We have several speakers that will be speaking, including Madam Nena from the Internet, Per Gangino from ICANN, the Vice President for Africa in ICANN. We have a representative of ECOWAS speaking, but I want to open it because of Madam Nena's role within the World Wide Web and her coming from the internet, for her to start this interesting discussion that we are going to be having. And our first question goes to her on how digital inclusion and access have affected all aspects of life during COVID-19, especially in central West Thank you, Nen. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can see and hear me very well. My name is Nena. I come from the internet. And I am the Chief Web Advocate at the World Wide Web Foundation. My job is to push the founding vision and mission of Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web. In other words, my role is to make sure that you get online, that you are happy online, that you get the best quality of digital life that you can, that you are a free and empowered digital citizen, that you have the skills and the agency that is needed to make you a creative, productive, and great citizen online, to make sure that you benefit, and also to call your attention once in a while when you are not being responsible. That is also part of my role. In speaking to us today at this West Africa Internet Governance Forum, I can only say one thing, and I'm going to raise my hand and say, all the noise I've made for the past 20 years, all of the travel I've done for the past 20 years, all of the work we've done as Web Foundation since the past 10 years, all of the energy that Sir Tim Berners-Lee and the pioneers of the internet world has put on has come to be now. The chickens have come to roost. COVID-19 has shown us that were it not for the internet, were it not for the World Wide Web, we will be in bigger problems today. I want to stop and ask you to imagine what we would have been as humanity in COVID-19 if there was no internet. What would we have been if we did not have the World Wide Web in this pandemic? How many millions would have been dead if we did not have the World Wide Web? So the first thing I want you to note concerning COVID is this: there would have been more deaths were it not for digital connectivity. The internet, the World Wide Web were ready before the pandemic came. And that has become the difference between life and death for many people. That's the first point I want you to take from me today, that the internet, the World Wide Web, is no longer just for communications, but it is now an issue of life and death. That brings me to the first ask of today. COVID or no COVID, moving forward, our collective task is to make sure that the other 49% of the global population that is not connected needs to get online. So as we go from here, inclusiveness means that everybody should have the right to access the internet. The second thing I want to say, Mr. Chair, is that immediately the pandemic struck, everybody went, oh, work from home. Oh, social distancing. Oh, please order online. Oh, technology-driven delivery. But if you only have 2G, if you only have just a bit of data, can you be part of West Africa Internet Governance Forum online on Zoom? The answer is no. And that is the reason why it is no longer enough for us to ask for connectivity. If I want to add the West African flavor, anyhow connectivity is not enough. meaningful connectivity is very important. Meaningful connectivity means 4 basic things. It means that I should be able to connect every day, not once a week, not once a month, because I need to work. I need my kids to go to school. I need to shop. I need to bank. So meaningful connectivity, the first thing is that I need to connect every day. You need to connect every day. Everyone needs to connect every day. The second is that you need the right device, because I am speaking to you on a device that allows me to share my video and share my screen. So the right device is very important. And then we need to talk about quality of the internet. 2G is no longer enough, at least 4G. And if you're like myself, we can talk about fiber to the home, but everybody needs broadband internet connection. The fourth part is, like I said, the quality of it, which gives you a comfortable experience. So friends, the first thing is we need to get everyone online. The second thing is that we need to get everyone meaningfully connected so they can create, they can share, and they can be full digital citizens. Yesterday in the school, I was saying that humanity, in order to be full, has its full dignity, needs digital dignity. If you don't exist online, you probably may not exist in other spheres of the economy. It is like you are inexistent. So we need to make our existence online very dignified and very meaningful. The third and final thing I want to speak about, Mr. Chair, for this introductory session, especially in terms of COVID, is that not only is it important for us to be connected, to be meaningfully connected, it is important that we understand that we now live in an era of digital interdependence. What does that mean? You heard Chengetah talk about digital cooperation and the roadmap for the digital cooperation that the UN Secretary General has launched. Web Foundation has worked for 2 years in that process. I continue to work with the Office of the UN Secretary General and the Digital Cooperation Secretariat and all member states and champions. My role there is to champion the same things we are here to talk about: digital inclusion, global connectivity, and of course, gender. Come on, people. I cannot not talk about gender equality. But hey, my third point is that it is no longer I myself, it is no longer US or Estonia or South Korea being on their own. We now understand, like this pandemic, there is only one humanity, there is only one internet, there's only one web, and we are in it together. Global digital interdependence calls for digital cooperation. It calls for everyone to be part of the development of the internet in its use. Last IGF in Berlin, Sir Tim Berners-Lee launched the Contract for the Web, which contains principles and responsibilities for all stakeholders to help create a safe and open web. I am hoping that in West Africa, we will look at the principles of the Contract for the Web. I did speak to you in Gambia about it. These principles are now part of the digital cooperation. My role, once again, is to make sure that on one hand, you benefit from the internet. On the other hand, that you have your full potential on the internet. And once in a while, if you are not living up to your responsibilities, I'm going to call you to order. It is great times indeed that we're living in. If I want to quote Adrian Lovex, our CEO at the Web Foundation, he says, in 2020, time is playing with our minds. You remember what happened in January and February, but between March and now, it is like time is standing still. But no, time is not standing still. It appears that it is standing still, but it is racing forward. We are already going towards the end of July. COVID is still here, but humanity is forging forward. I am proud of the role that the internet and the World Wide Web has played in this pandemic. It has shown us that we have something to fight for. I am glad as an African woman to have fought all of these 20 years so that less Africans would die. And I want to thank ECOWAS and all our member states who are working hand in hand with World Wide Web Foundation and other digital friends and partners to make sure that no one is left behind. Mr. Chair, my name is Nenna. I come from the internet, and my role is to welcome all of us into the era of digital interdependence. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Nena. I think in our own way, we should give her a big round of applause wherever we are. I think that was a very inspiring speech. And it says a lot about where we are and where we are to go to in terms of having, especially that statistics there, 9% of the unconnected, our region of West Africa. We have to see how best we could get these unconnected. We talked a lot about this anyhow connection we have here. We shouldn't be talking about anyhow connection in West Africa. We should be talking about meaningful connectivity. But we're going to be looking at some of those aspects that she mentioned about the digital cooperation, which the UN Secretary General is spearheading, and the World Wide Web has been working on it for years, like that. But I would like now to invite Per Dangino, the Vice President for ICANN and the Internet for Assigned Names and Number for Africa, will give talk. Basically, as we all know, ICANN deals with the main numbering system, and of course, if we don't have stability on the DNS, we cannot be online. So there's one thing having access, there's one thing to have stability on the domain systems, and how that stability has also helped in terms of financial systems, especially during the period of 19. So Per, welcome, sir. Over to you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear
you. Me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you, Per. Go on.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for inviting me and for having me here. And I come to this important, West African IGF forum, which is something that we really are interested in. Well, in terms of kind of preliminary work, in launching this high-level panel, and I would like to, of course, recognize the evangelism of our good sister, Nena. We said it all in terms of what we have to do. What I'm going to actually talk about is basically what we do as ICANN to make sure that the internet is, how should I say, interoperable, to make sure that the internet, works well for everyone. And also, as internet expands, that we make sure that it is secure for everyone. It's important to understand that because, of course, it's not just about the infrastructure that we might be looking at in terms of the bandwidth, in terms of whether we are going on 4G or 5G. It's quite important, actually. But definitely, if you want to make the internet available for all, if you definitely want to talk about inclusion, there are a few areas, and particularly in Africa, where we need to consider. For instance, the internet, how many people will consider the internet as an industry? For instance? That's important to understand that it is an industry. There are a few things that needs to be in place before you could actually expand, the interest, in different places. So what we do is make sure that internet is secure, stable, and that unified internet has always been important, especially at this time with resiliency on the internet has skyrocketed actually during this pandemic area. I will come back on that later on because from where we sit, we've been seeing a few things, that came with the pandemic in terms of DNS abuse and a few other things. And I also talk about what ICANN has been doing to mitigate, those threats. Well, two things actually I would like to quickly insist on before I leave it here. I think it's important that the way we manage internet in Africa be mainstreamed. There are issues, for instance, in terms of how we do manage, our CCTLDs, which is the country, code, top-level domain. Today in Africa, I'm talking about, 1.5 million sort of CCTLD registrants, and in total, and South Africa alone account for 1.2, for instance, million. And the rest of Africa were sharing something like 300 to 400, thousand registrants, which means that there is a lot to do. Questions are coming, about how far you go with your own country code, top-level domain. There are issues about, why are you guys using so many of the TLDs, the generic TLDs that are not, belong necessarily to your area. But these are issues to really need to be discussed. What I would like to insist on today is also the way we secure the DNSSEC, for instance, which is the domain name, security, which is really important. How much do we sign our zone file to make our destination, our virtual destination, secure? This is some job to be done, and this is what I call homework. Actually, whenever we talk about internet governance, I always used to say that there is a homework to be done, to be achieved. So it's important to notice that one. DNS is important, but IDN, which is the internationalized domain name, for instance, is quite important because it can enable people around the world to use domain names in their local languages, or scripts, which is quite important, for Africa and for West Africa for that matter. Of course, we need to use different scripts, such as Arabic that we are already using, Chinese or Cyrillic. We actually work in Africa with a few countries so far, Ethiopia being one of them, but we need to broaden the scope and have more and more countries, included in the way they are implementing, the internationalized domain names. Of course, the other one is the universal acceptance, which is a fundamental requirement, for a truly multilingual and digitally inclusive, internet. Again, there is some work to be done there, system to be tested, so that we are able to really make sure that everyone, uses, languages, on the internet whenever possible. So to cut it, to put it in a nutshell here, I believe many of the next billion, new internet users will likely come from development countries, where the Latin script is not the primary script. So it is critical that we work on those new scripts, so that if we want to move forward with this effort, to ensure the experience of the users, internet users, be shared across the board. So that's what I will say. There is some homework to be done around, the domain names, around securing your DNS, around also your universal acceptance, around your local scripts. So I would like to leave it here, and of course we'll come back for any other questions. So over to you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Per. I think you really stayed to your technical area very well in terms of dealing with issues with things that you have seen happen, especially with some of DNS abuse during the time of COVID. You also talked about the number of users in our country top-level domain, and majority of them of Africa in South Africa, which are about 1.2 million. So to look about, if we are to look among the 300,000 to 400,000 plus in West Africa, you will be able to, in Africa, you'll be able to discover what are the percentages in Africa. In Gambia, for example, the .gm domain, you only have about 2,300 people on the .gm domain, and we have to try to see how we can promote our country top level domains. But I think it's important that we also look into the .Africa, the African continent. For those people who are more Pan-Africanist, I think that's something we look at. You talked about reaching the 1 billion 1 billion users, the next 1 billion users of the internet. Majority of them are in developing countries. West Africa is really part of that. About new scripts and those kind of things. And when you talk about new scripts, we have to look at what we have, getting the houses, getting Wolof, getting Yoruba, Igbo, our key languages that already have very good syntax and semantics, how we can make them more available online for users to come in. But I'm sure I'll allow the panelists, in the Q&A, I'm sure people will have a lot of questions to ask you in regards to ICANN's work centric to our region. Thank you very much, sir. I will now move over to, we have, it's good for the first time we are having a parliamentarian in this, in our West African Internet Governance Forum, and he's going to be talking about how from his own perspective from Niger, how our parliaments have been able to cope and put in policies in terms of digital inclusion in this time of COVID-19. I think we all know what our parliaments have been doing. In Gambia here, our parliaments have really been working hard trying to see about lockdowns or partial lockdowns or no lockdowns, what we can do, making sure palliatives get to people, and a lot of challenging questions. So, and that too has been with what has happened with a lot of parliaments in, but our parliamentarian is not yet here, so I will move over, I'm sorry about that, to our ECOWAS commissioner, who is going to be speaking. And the reason we have our ECOWAS commissioner to talk about, we also know what has happened in ECOWAS. In 2017, we had this roaming and regulation agreement. A lot of people have been excited about it. Most of our traders, they still, not because they don't want to become digital inclusive, but as Nena spoke about 2G and all these things, a lot of them still use voice. People are trading from Timbuktu to Kaolack, from Dakar to Abidjan, to Bamako, to Lagos, to Kano, to Niamey. So all these things, people need we need to be more inclusive in terms of what is happening. So let us see what ECOWAS are going to talk about in their role in this, and getting us to be up to speed. Not done badly, but it is good to hear what they have in place. So over to you, Mr. Commissioner.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Je peux parler français, je crois qu'il y a la traduction. Merci beaucoup. Effectivement, vous avez raison. Je crois que tout à l'heure, on a vu de très belles présentations de Madame Nema et de Monsieur Pierre Janjonou. Bonjour Janjonou, mon ami de longue date. Je voulais dire que ECOWAS, effectivement, c'est comme vous avez dit tout à l'heure. Le Parlement va donner son point de vue sur un aspect parlementaire. Je crois que ECOWAS, nous voulons donner notre point de vue sur l'aspect régional. Parce que ECOWAS, c'est une organisation régionale. Et personnellement, je suis le commissaire en charge des télécommunications, des technologies de l'information. Tout simplement pour dire que notre rôle au niveau de la région, c'est de s'assurer et de travailler avec les États, les experts des États dont vous êtes, qu'il y a une politique d'harmonisation qui vise d'abord le développement des infrastructures régionales pour assurer la connectivité régionale, pour assurer l'accès aux services. Tout à l'heure, Mme Nema a expliqué, elle a parlé de fibres, de connexion par fibre et autres. Et aussi de savoir qu'au niveau des services, qu'il y ait une inclusion au niveau des services. Il y a à peine un an, nous avons fait une réunion à Ouagadougou, on a adopté une politique de l'accès des personnes vivant avec des handicaps. C'est quand même important parce que ECOWAS, vous savez qu'il y a 38 millions de personnes qui vivent avec handicap. Alors, à l'heure actuelle, s'il n'y a pas une politique spécifique, ça veut dire qu'on a 38 millions de personnes qui sont vraiment, qui ne peuvent pas avoir accès aux services. Ce n'est pas normal. Donc, Monsieur le Président, je voulais dire que, en plus de ce que les honorables Madame Nema et ce que Pierre Dangino ont dit, je voulais plutôt parler de l'aspect politique, puisque effectivement, c'est le rôle de ECOWAS de faire des politiques et d'essayer avec les États de mettre en place des politiques communes, harmonisées au niveau de la région. Ça, c'est un exemple de politique que nous avons adopté avant même que le Covid n'arrive. Je voulais en parler parce qu'il fait partie de cet aspect accès inclusif aux applications numériques. Je veux parler du roaming. Le roaming, c'est quand même, quand vous regardez l'application, ça veut dire que tout à l'heure, le président a dit qu'il y a des commerçants partout. Quand vous regardez dans l'espace de CEDEAO, la CEDEAO était mis en place, premièrement, dans l'intégration régionale, et puis c'est du commerce et autres qui a amené la mise en place de la CEDEAO. Donc, notre rôle, un exemple, c'est le travail qu'on nous avait demandé, c'est de s'assurer que les citoyens de l'espace CEDEAO peuvent se déplacer, peuvent communiquer, peuvent commercer, peuvent utiliser les services financiers d'un bout à l'autre. C'est très important. C'est pas normal que si je suis un citoyen d'un pays donné et que j'ai de bonnes qualités de services de communication, je voyage dans un autre pays, je ne peux même pas, il y a des problèmes, je ne peux pas profiter des communications. Ce n'est pas normal. Tout à l'heure, madame a donné l'exemple de l'Internet. S'il n'y avait pas Internet pendant le lockdown, l'arrivée de Covid, on allait avoir des problèmes. C'est pareil pour tout ce qui est communication d'une manière ou d'une autre. Monsieur le Président, je voulais dire que pourquoi on est arrivé à parler de politique de développement, donc de mise en œuvre d'une politique harmonisée de l'itinérance, qu'on appelle roaming en anglais. Monsieur le Président, si vous vous rappelez, pour ceux qui se rappellent des ECOWAS dans les années 80, l'évolution des communications, il y a eu quand même un effort qui a été mis en œuvre, en place, par les pays membres. Il y a des pays, beaucoup de pays ont travaillé. Alors, à l'heure, je vais vous donner un exemple. En 2018, fin 2018, quelle est la situation du réseau? Juste quelques grandes lignes. Vous avez 6 câbles sous-marins qui sont dans la région ECOWAS. 6 câbles. On est parti d'un câble dans les années 80. Maintenant, on a 6. On a 26 points d'atterrissage. C'est important, 26 points. Et nous avons 61 opérateurs mobiles. En réalité, on a 2 à 3 par pays aujourd'hui. On a un taux de pénétration Internet moyen de 36% en fin 2018, je crois. Et on a à peu près 328 millions d'abonnements mobiles dans la zone CEDEAO. Mais, Monsieur le Président, vous l'avez dit qu'on devrait être content. Pourquoi on a tout ça et puis on va se plaindre encore? Pourquoi on a tout ça, on va chercher à travailler? Non. Madame Nema a dit tout à l'heure qu'on est parti de 2G, on est à 4G et puis on va aller plus loin. Donc, on ne peut pas s'arrêter en Haïti. Il faut améliorer, il faut renforcer, il faut donner des capacity building. Mais avec les chiffres que je viens de vous donner, on a remarqué que ce n'est pas pour autant que les coûts de communication ont diminué. Au contraire, il y a toujours, les communications sont assez chères dans notre région. Alors, pour résoudre ce problème, qu'est-ce qu'il a fallu faire? Nous avons été mandatés par les États membres de proposer une politique harmonisée en vue de résoudre la solution. Pourquoi? Parce que quand vous regardez le roaming, par exemple, les politiques de communication sont gérées au niveau des pays par les autorités nationales de régulation. Donc, ils peuvent réglementer les prix, les tarifs au niveau national. Mais ils ne peuvent pas le faire au niveau régional. Parce qu'à l'heure où je vous parle, on n'a pas un régulateur régional. Donc, c'est pourquoi la CEDEAO s'est mise devant en essayant de coopérer avec les États afin qu'on trouve une solution à ces prix très, très élevés des services de roaming entre les pays. Monsieur le Président, c'est pour cela qu'en 2017, les pays membres après avoir fait un travail commun des experts, on est arrivé à prendre une décision sur la réglementation de l'itinérance sur les réseaux de communication mobile ouverts au public dans l'espace CEDEAO. Toujours dans l'objectif. Pourquoi ce règlement? C'est donner un cadre juridique et tarifs harmonisés pour l'itinérance sur les réseaux de communication mobile. Et surtout résoudre les problèmes de coûts élevés. Par exemple, un exemple, ce que le règlement propose est que si un roamer part dans un pays donné, A, il quitte son pays A, il part dans un pays B, il devrait pouvoir avoir une suppression sur ses appels entrants et les SMS qu'il reçoit en itinérance pendant 30 jours. Parce qu'on suppose que s'il se dépasse en 30 jours pour du business et autres, au-delà des 30 jours, il va peut-être être résident, il va prendre un abonnement sur place. Donc, pendant les 30 jours, il va falloir qu'on le traite comme un client. En fait, il est dans l'espace CEDEAO, c'est ce qu'on appelle libre circulation des personnes et des biens. En plus de ça, il devrait pouvoir avoir une réduction sur ses appels sortants et les données, et y compris les SMS initiés en itinérance. Donc, à travers un tarif plafond dans le pays où il est parti. Voilà les grandes lignes de l'itinérance. Pourquoi? Si les hommes d'affaires, les commerçants, les touristes, si on avait ce service d'itinérance comme en Europe, vous allez voir que ça allait résoudre beaucoup de problèmes dans l'espace CEDEAO. C'est ce que nous recherchons à travers ces tarifs. Bon, Monsieur le Président, je voulais dire qu'en fait, ça c'est bien beau, ce que je vous ai dit, mais c'est un aspect réglementaire que nous avons mis en place, qui concerne un certain nombre d'articles. Et depuis lors, Monsieur le Président, nous avons fait des réunions, nous avons fait un travail. Personnellement, j'ai conduit une délégation en Europe, en Afrique de l'Est, en Ouganda et en Kigali, pour voir comment l'East African Community met en œuvre ce roaming. Et nous sommes arrivés à une conclusion et nous avons rencontré les ministres. Bientôt, la semaine, dans un mois, j'aurai une réunion virtuelle avec tous les régulateurs parce qu'aujourd'hui, on est à deux doigts, on est vraiment sur la phase de mettre en œuvre ce règlement et on pense qu'il pourra être mis en œuvre dans les mois à venir pour que les gens puissent les utiliser. Monsieur le Président, il faut dire que nous avons appris, par exemple, qu'il y a des gens qui étaient bloqués dans certains pays pendant le Covid. Tout le monde n'utilise pas Internet. Il y a des gens qui utilisent toujours des communications, qui ont besoin de communiquer avec leurs parents. Donc, si nous nous forçons, nous amenons à ce que l'itinérance marche, non seulement il y aura les communications avec Internet, on va pouvoir le faire, et en plus, on va pouvoir en même temps faire des appels à un coût vraiment réduit. C'est ce que nous recherchons aujourd'hui avec cette politique de l'itinérance. Donc, Monsieur le Président, l'exemple de l'itinérance que je vous parle, c'est juste dans le cadre du thème de ce forum qui est inclusion et accès numérique en Afrique de l'Ouest. Donc, à travers l'itinérance, à travers la réglementation sur l'itinérance, nous voulons rechercher qu'il y ait une popularisation de l'accès à Internet en même temps qu'on développe les réseaux. Parce que si vous développez les infrastructures, il faut en même temps que derrière, il y ait des stratégies pour essayer de mettre en place afin que les opérateurs qui opèrent les réseaux puissent suivre et arriver à ce que vraiment tout le monde, les usagers, puissent tirer profit de ce développement des réseaux. Monsieur le Président, en plus de ça, je voulais juste vous dire, juste rapidement, pour vous dire que la Commission travaille aujourd'hui. C'est peut-être pas exactement le moment enfin, c'est pas la période, c'était la partie pour ça, mais je voulais dire que nous travaillons beaucoup sur l'aspect cybersécurité. Parce que nous faut en plus que les gens puissent avoir espoir, avoir confiance dans l'utilisation de nos réseaux Internet et toutes les applications digitales qui vont venir. Parce qu'il n'y a rien ne sert de développer des applications digitales, comme on a parlé tantôt dans la vision globale, à savoir la transformation digitale de la société, sans qu'il y ait quand même une certaine politique, une certaine capacité, renforcement des capacités des acteurs afin de juguler les problèmes de cybermenaces. Je l'ai dit dans mon intervention. Et nous sommes heureux d'apprendre qu'il y a un travail qui est fait au niveau du World Wide Web, mais nous aussi, au niveau régional, nous essayons de voir que les pays sont à des niveaux différents. Il y a des pays qui sont très avancés, mais il y a d'autres qui ne sont pas avancés. Donc, notre travail aujourd'hui, et je suis heureux de dire qu'on on a une signature, on a un rapport pour chaque pays, on a une vision de chaque pays, la situation actuelle de l'état de sa cybersécurité et de sa capacité à lutter contre les cybercriminalités. Nous avons établi ce rapport après 3 à 4 mois de travail sur le terrain et nous sommes en train de développer des plans d'action par pays afin que les pays puissent être mis à niveau pour pouvoir supporter ces cybermenaces. Parce qu'on a dit que plus vous partez dans l'utilisation à fond des technologies numériques, plus en même temps vous êtes ouvert aux menaces. Mais ce n'est pas une raison de ne pas utiliser les technologies numériques, nous encourageons, mais en même temps, nous allons encourager les pays, supporter les pays afin qu'ils puissent faire face à ces menaces-là. Monsieur le Président, voici en gros ce que je voulais dire par rapport à la vision du thème de la CEDEAO sur le thème de ce forum. Je vous remercie beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, thank you very much, Commissioner Zoli. Dr. Zoli, thank you, Messi. I think I'll just talk on some statistics you gave there, which were very important. You talked about us having 6 submarine cables currently in the region. So there are 6 submarine cables. You talked about us having about 26 hubs. I'll need to get clarity about that, but you talked about us having 61 mobile telco operators in West Africa, minimum of 2 to 3 per country. So even if our smallest country, Cabo Verde, we must have 2 or 3 per region. You talked about number of internet users, which is that are connected at 6%. Madam Nena gave 49%. So we have to look at that disparity of over 13%. You talked about 300 million people within the region being accessing mobile connectivity, voice at least, very good in our population. But you also gave the challenges involved in this roaming, especially when ECOWAS doesn't have a unified regulatory body, and how you are trying to work on that. And we hope that's going to happen very soon. And you talked about what's happening within cybersecurity. But I will leave that to the questions that will be coming on. We really appreciate your intervention. And I will just move over to our ECOWAS parliamentarian from Niger Republic. So back to you now, please. You can go ahead, sir. Honorable Masane.
We need to unmute him. He's on mute.
Hello. I think you need to unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself, Honorable Masani.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
Yes, I can hear you, me too.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Honorable.
But I speak in French.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Honorable, please.
Okay.
Okay, merci.
Bonjour à tous. Il y a quelqu'un qui parle là.
Yes, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Bonjour. Vous m'entendez?
A little bit faint, but our interpreters are hearing you.
Ok. Bonjour à tous. Donc, je me représente. Je suis donc député national au Niger. Je suis un ancien professionnel de l'informatique, donc expert TIC. J'ai occupé au niveau de mon pays donc des responsabilités de haut niveau sur le développement de l'informatique. Donc, j'ai participé pratiquement à tous les forats depuis le démarrage, bon, M. Makan Faye est là, Nena aussi est là, ils me connaissent. Donc, par rapport au thème qui est discuté aujourd'hui, le Covid-19 donc, est une pandémie. Quand elle est apparue au Niger, elle nous a créé un blocage presque total des activités pendant tout le mois de mars et un peu en début avril. Mais à partir de la mi-avril, les activités gouvernementales et les activités internationales, donc le Niger a pu, grâce à une expertise de l'Agence nationale pour la société de l'information, qui est une agence qui est logée à la présidence de la République, aussi au service technique au niveau de tous les ministères et au niveau des institutions de l'État. Donc, le Covid n'a pas été pour le Niger une barrière. Nous avons continué les activités parce que le président de la République du Niger a participé régulièrement à toutes les conférences au sommet en vidéoconférence. Et les différents ministères techniques aussi sectoriels ont participé régulièrement aux activités interafricaines et même mondiales, le G5 Sahel et toute autre chose au niveau de l'Assemblée nationale du Niger. Notre Assemblée, à travers son président, au moment où je vous parle d'ailleurs, le président de l'Assemblée est en visioconférence avec d'autres parlementaires. Et nous-mêmes, au niveau du groupe d'amitié France du Niger, nous avons eu à organiser beaucoup de vidéoconférences entre nous et des députés français. Et bientôt, nous sommes en train de préparer une autre vidéoconférence avec des parlementaires italiens. Et au moment où je vous parle, je suis dans l'hémicycle de l'Assemblée nationale. C'est à partir de l'hémicycle de l'Assemblée nationale que je suis en train de parler avec le responsable de la gouvernance d'Internet nationale, monsieur le professeur Bedi, qui est à côté de moi en ce moment. Il n'est pas branché. Vous ne m'entendez pas? Il demande que je branche le micro.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead, sir. Honorable.
Vous entendez maintenant? OK. Donc, je disais que j'ai à mes côtés le professeur Bedi, le directeur général de l'IAI Niger, qui est en ce moment donc responsable de la gouvernance d'Internet au niveau national. Donc, allô? Vous m'entendez? OK. Donc, je disais, donc nous sommes en tout cas dans des conditions, le Covid n'a pas été pour nous une barrière pour communiquer tant au niveau national, oui, je vous entends bien, pour communiquer tant au niveau national qu'international. Donc, ils sont en train de repasser ce que j'ai dit là.
Honorable, continuez parce que nous vous entendons très bien. N'arrêtez pas, s'il vous plaît.
Donc, comme vous m'entendez très bien, le Covid n'a pas été une barrière pour nous. Et au moment où je vous parle, nous sommes en train de travailler au niveau on a un comité ici au niveau de l'Assemblée nationale. C'est un comité d'organisation d'un forum qu'on a déjà organisé la première édition en 2017 au niveau de la CEDEAO sur les nouvelles technologies. Là, on a le prochain forum que nous devrions organiser en janvier, février passé. Malheureusement, à cause de la pandémie, avec la CEDEAO, on l'a annulé parce qu'il ne peut pas y avoir des regroupements de plus de 50 personnes au niveau de notre pays quand il y a eu les mesures. Et donc, quand l'état d'urgence va être levé, nous pensons que ce forum-là, on va le relancer. Si on n'arrive pas à le faire physiquement, on sera obligé de le faire comme nous sommes en train de faire le forum actuel. Donc, c'est un forum sur le rôle du parlementaire dans le cadre de la lutte contre la cybercriminalité en Afrique, donc au niveau de l'espace CEDEAO. Donc, je suis le président du comité scientifique de ce forum. Et nous avons un comité scientifique qui est composé de beaucoup d'experts. D'ailleurs, M. Makan Faye est un de nos consultants de conseil par rapport à ce comité scientifique. Nous avons aussi la CEA qui est associée, et le PNUD et un certain nombre d'organismes internationaux. Et nous pensons que si les conditions les permettent, même si on ne peut pas faire physiquement ce forum, on va le faire comme nous sommes en train de le faire actuellement avec vous. Donc, le COVID-19 n'est pas une barrière, en tout cas ici au Niger, Dieu merci, sur le plan de développement des NTIC, nous avons quand même avancé. Le COVID n'a pas été pour nous une barrière. Donc, toutes les activités au niveau international, le Niger n'a pas cessé de participer parce qu'on a mis en place des moyens conséquents qui ont permis de communiquer avec la communauté internationale pour qu'il y ait une continuité d'activité. Voilà ce que je peux dire pour le moment. Au niveau de la CEDEAO, nous espérons que ce genre d'activité peut continuer et peut-être faire en sorte que dans les pays, la CEDEAO peut demander aux pays d'organiser ces genres de réunions au niveau national. Voilà ce que je peux dire pour le moment. Merci à vous.
Thank you very much, Honorable Masane. We appreciate your contribution. Niger, personally, for me, is a country I'm very fond of. I went there a couple of years ago to help you people launch your first Internet Governance Forum with Professor Bedi, my big brother there, Professor Bedi. How are you? And thank you very much, Honorable Masane, for your brief insights, especially your communications to being able to walk within the confines of assembly to see your beautiful assembly building and still being able to use, despite COVID, you mentioned about your parliamentarians still doing some work, working with Italian parliamentarians and also stuff within among you as parliamentarians. And it's also good mentioning that you have a parliamentarian that understands the ICT ecosystem coming from the industry itself. I'm sure in terms of connectivity in Niger Republic, I'm sure you're one of those honorables spearheading it. But without much ado, I will go into the nitty-gritties of question and answer time. So we have some questions in French. I am going to allow my sister, Madam Nena, to take those questions, but I'll first take the first one. And I think this one I would direct it, I think it directly goes to Dr. Zoli. It's from Mr. Babagana Abbas. Hi to all panelists. It said that the internet is a basic human right. Please, what policy measures can you propose to our African leaders not to shut down internet pipes in their countries? When people are democratically demonstrating to express their views on such disagreements with the government. And we have seen some shutdown recently. In Gambia here, we had our own last in 2016 during the elections, and we hope never to have that again. We saw recently in Liberia what happened. So I think before I will let the other panelists answer this question, I'll first like to Dr. Zoli from ECOWAS talk about importance since what ECOWAS is doing to mitigate shutdowns at all levels. Dr. Zoli, over to you.
Oui, merci beaucoup. Je crois que votre question est vraiment très, très importante. Je voulais juste dire que l'accès à Internet, c'est deux choses. Il y a les politiques et il y a l'accès, il y a les infrastructures qui permettent l'accès. Comme je vous dis tout à l'heure, je vous le disais, nous avons été heureux de participer avec les pays à construire un réseau IT qui permet d'offrir des services et surtout d'assurer les connectivités régionales et nationales. J'ai aussi dit dans mon intervention que malheureusement, la Commission, si nous faisons les politiques, si nous facilitons la mise en œuvre de ces politiques et faciliter la mise en œuvre surtout du développement des infrastructures, au niveau de la région, nous n'avons pas un régulateur régional. En un mot, quelqu'un qui fait appliquer au niveau régional tout ce qui est appliqué. C'est-à-dire qu'une fois qu'une politique est adoptée, elle est du ressort de chaque État de l'appliquer. La CEDEAO n'a pas une extension au niveau national, comme je vous dis tout à l'heure que c'est les autorités nationales de régulation qui appliquent tout ce qui est accès aux services en termes de tarifs et autres, et en termes de politique. Donc à ce niveau, ce n'est pas, la CEDEAO n'a pas une action, une possibilité d'aller faire appliquer, c'est-à-dire mettre en œuvre tout ce qui est accès à la forme d'exploitation des services au niveau d'un pays. Je pense que si on voit cet aspect, il est clair qu'il y a quand même une limitation en termes de pouvoir, en termes de capacité, en termes de mission. Mais je pense que le fait de pouvoir travailler déjà à accélérer, à améliorer les politiques harmonisées au niveau des États, à améliorer les politiques de développement des réseaux, je crois quand même que ça peut amener petit à petit à ce qu'il y ait une politique commune vis-à-vis de l'Internet. Parce que quelque part, ce que vous dites, ça rejoint un peu à l'aspect démocratique. C'est beaucoup plus politique que politique technique. Donc, il n'y a pas tellement du nouveau que ce que la CEDEAO peut faire et puis elle ne le fait pas. Voilà ce que je peux répondre à cette question. Merci beaucoup. Hello.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Zoli. But ECOWAS comes up with a lot of policies in terms of trade, in terms of free movement of people. Why can there not be a policy, a carte blanche? Because you said, okay, you cannot impose regulation to say that, okay, in ECOWAS, all countries subscribe to no shutdown of the internet. I agree, you have policy harmonizations happening, but I mean, it can be a statement. Just as you have done politically that ECOWAS doesn't support coups happening in our countries and stuff like that. It can be a policy that as a fundamental human rights, ECOWAS says no shutdown. What do you say about that?
Ok, je vous ai compris. Je crois que vous avez été clair. Moi, je vous ai compris. Peut-être que je n'ai pas été, je le dis, je ne sais pas si je peux le dire en anglais, mais en tout cas, je le dis en français c'est encore plus clair. C'est exactement comme l'itinérance, quand je vous ai dit tout à l'heure. L'itinérance, on a fait une politique d'itinérance en disant oui, il faut qu'il y ait une harmonisation des tarifs d'itinérance. Mais elle n'est pas appliquée parce que c'est les régulateurs qui doivent l'appliquer sur le territoire. C'est exactement pareil. Supposons qu'on fasse une politique de dire il n'y a pas de non-shot. Le non-shot, c'est même déjà, ça dépasse déjà la mission de politique, c'est déjà de l'exploitation. Ça veut dire que est-ce que c'est le régulateur national ou c'est la CEDEAO? C'est exactement pareil comme l'itinérance, ce que je vous ai expliqué tout à l'heure. C'est-à-dire que la CEDEAO travaille jusqu'à une frontière. Prenons par exemple l'affaire des fermetures des frontières ou bien des trades, du commerce, les lois sur l'application du commerce. On a été obligé de créer un task force aujourd'hui qui passe dans les États, qui explique avec les États, qui discute avec les États. C'est ce que nous faisons pareil aussi en Haïti. On discute avec les États, on les demande, voilà ce qu'il faut faire. Mais en bout de course, vous pouvez peut-être poser la question aux parlementaires du Niger, parce que c'est des applications qui relèvent des États directement sur leur espace territorial. C'est-à-dire qu'il n'y a pas une concession de mise en œuvre des politiques octroyées par les États à la CEDEAO qui va appliquer ça comme un territoire de la CEDEAO. Je ne sais pas si je peux me faire comprendre. En tout cas, ce qui est clair, c'est que c'est un aspect de rôle, de mission dédié à chaque État par rapport à la mise en œuvre des politiques qu'on adopte au niveau régional. Ce n'est pas seulement Haïti, c'est partout. dès que vous adoptez la politique au niveau régional, elle est mise en œuvre par les instances appropriées dans chaque État. Voilà ce que je peux dire là-dessus. Merci beaucoup.
Okay.
Thank you. It's very clear. I see what you said about in terms of regulation, that it has to happen nationally once you adopt it, like you said, with the roaming. I think it's very clear. And it just shows that we as civil society, academicians and working with our parliamentarians have to push this, that our regulatory authorities are made to understand, and that the executive cannot order the shutdown of the internet.
Yes.
Try to pass it, and that's why sometimes we need to talk about the principles of the African Declaration of Internet Rights and Freedom. I will go over to Nena to talk briefly about this, because I know she's very passionate about shutdown, and take the next question. Over to you, Nena.
I warned all of you. I told you that I can be nice, but I can also be not nice. So this is the time to be not nice. The ECOWAS court has condemned Togo to pay 2 million CFA in fine and adopt the necessary laws, not just against internet shutdown, but to guarantee the rights of Togolese. The commissioner is right. The commission is to the service of member states. But dear commissioner, I want to give you a message. ECOWAS should be the ECOWAS of citizens, not of government alone. So if you are listening to me now, please know that we have a community court in ECOWAS region where you can sue any government that shuts down the internet, because it is an abuse of human rights. We already have jurisprudence on this. Togo has been condemned. Togo has been judged and found wanting and condemned. So if you are from government listening to me, we have it settled. We are going to sue you to court. I'm smiling today, but when I say you in court, I won't be dressed nice. You will have an attorney in front of you. So if you are listening to me, we should be able to sue our own government and get justice. 3 years ago, we were in Cotonou, West Africa Internet Governance. We adopted a joint declaration saying no to internet shutdowns. The next year, Benin shut down the internet. So I think that we are saying one thing and doing another. I will keep repeating it. The worst thing that any government can do to its citizens in this time of pandemic is to shut down the internet. And I think, ECOWAS, we should put it in our minutes that we should call on the government of Ethiopia to release Ethiopians. How can we sit down in West Africa and watch African brothers and sisters, 100 million Africans shut down in Ethiopia? We should raise a voice against it. That is my contribution. And an extension of that is the question that someone is asking on media online media and access to information and right to information. It is high time we begin to respect West Africans. We are not less humans than other people whose rights are respected. Our basic rights need to be respected and promoted. Someone has asked about the convention. I want to say that the AU has done its part. We have a Malabo Convention. The Malabo Convention on personal data and cybersecurity guarantees our rights and our responsibilities. If you had taken part in the school of this year, you would have heard Mokhtar from the AU speak to us about the Malabo Convention. So we have a convention at the African level, but then only 10 countries have ratified it. So we are waiting for more countries to ratify it. So if you are here today, I'm hoping that when you go back to your own country, the commissioner is right. The commission cannot force sovereign countries, but citizens can. So I am speaking now, Mr. Chair, not just as Web Foundation, but as a West African. I'm a West African citizen and I have the right to reclaim what belongs to me. And what belongs to me is that I be a digital citizen whose rights are respected, protected, and it is job of the commission to drive that message home. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nena, for that excellent presentation. I think people should understand that we can seal our countries. You know, I never thought of it from that aspect. I know a lot of journalists that were oppressed during the time of former Gambia President won cases in the ECOWAS court. So we have seen Togo has just won it with shots down. People have taken to the court. So happens again, like it just happened in Liberia. I think we should do that. We should speak to our parliamentarians for that not to happen. A lot has been said in terms of cybersecurity. I would like to go now to from ICANN. There's a question. My concern has to do with the raising concern about cybersecurity. I would like to know how far that can go from establishing a cybersecurity policy for each country. I know there's a lot of things on DNS abuse and stuff like that. So in your expertise areas, what you think ICANN can do in working with ECOWAS to have this robust policy? Nena talked about the Malabo Convention, which unfortunately is 10 of our countries in Africa. And so what do you think best to galvanize everybody? Per. Per, did you hear me, sir? Hello? Per?
Hello?
Yes, I
can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, Per.
I think your question was about what I think ICANN could contribute, as far as cybersecurity is concerned.
Yes, within our region. Yeah.
Within our region.
Yes.
Well, I can only say that, of course, ICANN has been working with different parties actually to secure the internet. And most precisely, there are issues, for instance, that we are part of, and we'll be working with some of the West African agencies, law enforcement agencies, the police, the Interpol, all of them. We work with them in terms of, combating, cybersecurity. What we did precisely in terms of, the DNS abuse, which is now the kind of important, and many industries are really suffering from this one, and I guess in Africa itself. We set up a kind of, I would say, this consortium or a group of international, international companies which ICANN is working to combat, the pandemic. We will be talking, in fact, more on that when we have our DNS forum in Africa, which is scheduled on the 27th, 28th of July. So the partnership for us is already there. We are also working with FIRST, which is in charge of, the security issues, with the CERT also in different countries. We are part of them. And what we bring here is the expertise in terms of, if you are talking about, when we mean DNS, for instance, you are talking also about your IP addresses. If you want to track, any hacking, we know how to do it, and this is the type of expertise that we are putting here. Now, you said wherever we could collaborate with the Africa Union on the convention. We're following the convention actually, but ICANN is not directly, into this, I would say, the policy making vis-a-vis security per se. We do it, but our policy is about the what we call the identifier, the unique identifiers. Be there the IP addresses, be there the domain name, but also instances of the root server, for instance. Some of the things we are doing, for instance, is that we are populating Africa with root server, instances, because we want Africans to be able to rely on this one to reduce the latency when they are accessing, the web. In Africa, in West Africa, we have at least 6 countries, for instance, that already have copies of the root server. Now, managing those things, securing the domain with the DNSSEC, this is technology we know of, and we are training also people. So definitely, yeah, we are open up to cooperation, definitely. And I'll really say that as far as we are concerned in Africa, the Africa staff, we do have what we call the Africa strategy, and that was actually developed by yourself, the community, where cybersecurity has a very important, part of it, and we do have a few activities that we want to do with you guys. So definitely, ICANN is there, not making too much noise on those things, but we make sure that the internet works and that the internet, is secure, and that's our job. So yes, but we do have our own remit. So that's what I could respond to your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Per. I will now about to close. There's a question in French. I'll allow Madame Nena to take that question, and then in closing this session, I will start with Honorable Masane to just talk from a parliamentarian point of view, what he sees the role of Parliament within the region in promoting digital inclusion for all. And then we'll go to the ECOWAS, then Per, then Nena we close. And before I hand over to Folake. So Nena, please help me with the next question. Thank you.
There was a question about Mali, because Mali is still shutting down the internet. And another one was on the mobile operators, to protect mobile operators. Okay, so part of my job is to support governments in policy. Now, okay, I'm back to my Web Foundation role. I have finished trouble. This is the peaceful me. Now, in every country, there is a constitutional there's a constitutional arrangement that in very critical cases, the state may need to take over communications, most often during war or serious security issues. Now, what happens is that as a citizen, we are governed. Unfortunately, when mobile operators sign a license, when they're given a license, they are also given responsibilities, which means that it is very difficult for a mobile operator to say no to internet shutdown, because they are obliged to abide by injunctions from the Ministry of ICT. Now, the role we can play as the World Wide Web Foundation is what is already in the contract for the web. Give policy advisory to governments. I will say again, we give policy advisory, but the citizens ultimately will be the ones to hold their governments accountable. And that is why I'm still looking for, apart from Ghana, that country that will say we want to adopt these principles and work with them. One thing is very important. There are going to be elections this year in Ghana, I think in Cote d'Ivoire, in many other countries. As West Africans, we need to rise beyond the point. We need to rise to the point where we begin to see the internet as a critical economic infrastructure. If we do not have it in our next constitutional review, if you are here today and there is a review of your constitution, please work so that it will be inscribed in the national law that the internet and access to it should be a national treasure. It should be of optimum national importance, so that before any minister, before anybody can go ahead and ask operators to shut down the internet, the person will have to go through people like Honorable Masane Korone. You have to go to the National Assembly to get the sign-off of the people who represent the population for you to be able to shut down the internet. Most internet shutdown decisions are arbitrary, undemocratic, and dictatorial. So my intervention at this time, number one, sue the government to court. If you don't have the means, if you think your life will be in danger, watch out for the next constitutional review, mobilize so that access to the internet all the time, unhindered access, will be part of the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nena, for that. I think it's very wonderful. As I round up this session now, I start with Honorable Masane from Niger. I said I was going to ask you just a closing remark on, as a parliamentarian, what do you see your role is representing other parliamentarians in West Africa in promoting inclusiveness within the West African region, knowing that we have 36% according to Dr. Zoli, people connected to have what do you call it, 56% to vote.
Merci de me repasser la parole. En tant que parlementaire, en tout cas, nous sommes en train de prendre beaucoup d'initiatives. Je vous ai dit qu'on a déjà organisé à Niamey, sous l'égide de la CEDEAO, un forum interparlementaire sur les nouvelles technologies. Nous sommes actuellement en train de préparer un autre forum interparlementaire, toujours sous l'égide de la CEDEAO, parce qu'une mission de l'Assemblée nationale du Niger associée à certains députés de la Côte d'Ivoire s'est rendue déjà à Abuja, et nous avons organisé une réunion du comité scientifique pour la préparation de ce forum, parce que le Parlement de la CEDEAO qui se trouve à Abuja n'a pas beaucoup d'impact sur le fonctionnement des parlements pays. Donc ce forum, nous voulons l'organiser avec au moins 3 parlementaires de chacun des pays, des 5 et des 15 pays de la CEDEAO. On va les regrouper et on va parler du rôle du parlementaire dans la lutte contre la cybercriminalité en Afrique de l'Ouest. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, la cybercriminalité fait beaucoup de dégâts dans notre sous-région, mais nous sommes désarmés. Les initiatives, il n'y a même pas de politique dans certains pays. Il n'y a même pas de stratégie, de stratégie sur la cybercriminalité dans certains pays. Donc, avec l'appui de certains partenaires, via la CEDEAO, beaucoup de pays sont en train de faire leur stratégie. Mais nous, ce que nous souhaitons, c'est de faire en sorte que les parlements nationaux, parce que même certains traités ou certains actes additionnels que la CEDEAO prend, parfois, ils ne sont pas implémentés, ils ne sont pas appliqués dans les pays. Donc, l'initiative que nous sommes en train de prendre, si ce n'est pas que le Covid était arrivé, une mission devrait sillonner tous les pays, aller visiter les parlements nationaux, désigner les 3 députés et organiser la rencontre à Niamey. voilà la perspective, même si, en tout cas, on a créé, aujourd'hui, on a créé un réseau qui s'appelle interparlementaire, qui s'appelle REPTIC CEDEAO. Et au niveau du siège de la CEDEAO, une mission a été là-bas. Le président de ce réseau, REPTIC CEDEAO, pour le moment, c'est un député de la Côte d'Ivoire, que vous connaissez d'ailleurs parce qu'il a été consultant. C'est Dr Guy Bessongui, qui est un député avocat, spécialiste d'éthique. Donc, nous sommes en train de vraiment préparer ce forum. Ce forum va permettre au Parlement pays de s'intéresser de la question. Parce qu'au niveau des parlements de la CEDEAO, ils n'ont aucun pouvoir sur les parlements nationaux. Voilà ce que je voulais ajouter. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Honorable Masane. I'll move over to you, Dr. Zoli from the ECOWAS Commission. In reference on your closing remark, Nena mentioned about you being there for the citizens, not only for government. In that way, being there for the citizens, what will you advocate in terms of shutdown to do more for the citizens of? Thank you. And you can add anything you want to add.
Monsieur le Président, moi je suis un ancien acteur des télécoms depuis 1900, dans les années 90. J'ai connu la chute des réseaux télécommunications quand il y a des coups d'État, quand il y a tout ce qu'il y a, quand il y a des grèves, on arrête les réseaux. Ce n'est pas Internet, ça n'a pas commencé maintenant. Mais Internet, c'est autre chose. Quelles sont les raisons qui ont fait que beaucoup de pays coupent l'Internet? Beaucoup de cas, on dit que c'est des problèmes de sécurité. Monsieur le Président, je peux vous répondre que ce que Mme Nema a dit, c'est que c'est vrai. Nous travaillons vers l'Internet des peuples, mais en attendant, à l'heure où je vous parle, nous sommes toujours à l'Internet, à la CEDEAO, où c'est les États qui adoptent, qui appliquent les directives. Quand nous allons réviser la procédure de mise en œuvre des directives, c'est clair qu'on va donner un pouvoir à, certainement, si on révise la procédure en disant que la CEDEAO a un pouvoir pour arriver à, dans certains domaines réservés à la souveraineté des États, je crois que ça ne posera pas de problème. Mais pour l'instant, ce qu'elle a dit, c'est vrai. Il y a des limites objectives de la CEDEAO. Mais alors, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire? Je crois que c'est ça votre question, à savoir que, Monsieur le Président, je vous ai dit tout à l'heure que nous travaillons pour que chaque pays soit équipé capacité, avec une bonne capacité en termes de savoir-faire et en termes d'infrastructure pour lutter contre la cybercriminalité. Si un État est en mesure à un moment donné de s'assurer qu'il n'y a pas de danger, il n'y a pas de danger par rapport à l'Internet et à autres, sur quelque chose de particulier, je ne vois pas pourquoi ils vont couper l'Internet. Donc, c'est clair que si nous, tous, acteurs, aujourd'hui, nous travaillons à renforcer la capacité des États membres, à ce qu'ils puissent gérer les applications frauduleuses de l'Internet. Parce que parmi les utilisateurs de l'Internet, il faut qu'on reconnaisse qu'il y a des brebis galeuses. Si les États arrivent à un moment donné à les contrôler, il n'y a pas de raison qu'un État coupe son réseau Internet. Ce n'est pas possible. Elle a bien dit qui fournit les services Internet, l'accès. C'est les mobiles aujourd'hui. Et ces gens ont des licences avec des missions, des règles, des choses à respecter. Ils ont signé des accords à respecter. Monsieur le Président, je ne pense pas qu'il y ait un problème particulier, que c'est particulier à la CEDEAO, à savoir que pourquoi la CEDEAO ne peut pas. Non, la CEDEAO travaille dans l'optique des textes qui sont en vigueur. Et aujourd'hui, les textes qui sont en vigueur ne donnent pas mandat en termes d'application, parce que c'est carrément même opération. C'est de l'opérationnel, ça. Ce n'est pas possible que la CEDEAO aille sur le terrain pour faire certaines applications. Mais si d'aventure, on lui donne cette possibilité, par exemple,
Yeah, Commissioner Zoli seems to have frozen.
Yes.
Okay. Are you back on there?
Non, je crois que ça va. Vous m'avez Ça va? J'ai dit que vous m'avez entendu quand j'ai dit que bon, on travaille sur. Oui, vous m'avez entendu?
Yes.
OK.
Yes.
J'ai dit que nous travaillons sur la capacité des États membres à répondre aux cyberattaques, à travailler à lutter contre la cybercriminalité. Une fois que les États vont avoir ces capacités, vous allez voir que les coupures d'Internet vont être de plus en plus réduites, et je ne crois pas, voire annulées. Donc, je pense que j'ai bonne note que la CEDEAO, dans ses capacités, c'est ça qu'elle est en train de faire, former les gens et puis essayer de trouver des moyens de travail communs pour pouvoir arriver à résoudre ce problème-là. En même temps, Monsieur le Président, nous avons la mise en œuvre de l'agenda digital, de la transformation digitale numérique de la région en perspective avec, si vous vous rappelez que l'Union africaine a adopté l'agenda transformation numérique. Nous, au niveau de la CEDEAO, on est en train de mettre ça, de regarder comment on peut appliquer ça au niveau de la région. On a mis en place une équipe qui va travailler toujours avec les États membres. Et vous allez voir que ça va être pris en compte. Tous ces aspects d'exploitation de l'Internet, certainement, vont être considérés dans ce travail-là. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Very much, Dr. Zoli. I really liked your last comment on in the African Union cooperation framework, what you're going to do in West. I'll be waiting to hear from that. Without much ado, I will move over to Per for his closing remark. Per, what are you going to do for the region? I will put it in terms of the African strategy specific to West African region. What do you think should be the priority areas for ICANN specific to the West African region in respect of digital inclusion? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Poncelet. No, mine are going to be very short words.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, please. Yes. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you, Poncelet. Thank you to all. I was just saying that mine are going to be very short words. That to thank you all for this initiative. As far as ICANN is concerned, like I also said, we do have an ICANN strategy for Africa that was developed by Africans themselves. We have a few activities that we are going to implement in Africa, and basically in terms of securing the internet. But the bulk of it is about capacity building. Capacity building in terms of knowing what you have to know about the industry, because it is an industry, I'm still saying this, knowing what you have to know in terms of managing your CCTLDs. So in terms of West Africa, we are already doing what we have to do. We are working with the Association of Regulators, of telcos in West Africa, for instance, in other places as well. We are ready to actually accompany whatever initiative you might have that's about, providing more area of expertise in securing the DNS, which is key. We are working with Afrinic, for instance, for the IP addresses, delivery, AFTLD. So definitely, we are here to assist, to support, and if you do need anything, well, please, you know us, the 5 of us now in Africa. We are basically about technical engagement. So we are also about the policy involvement. Yeah, that's what I would like to say. Thank you again to Mari and her team for certainly an interesting, call. Bye for now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Per Dangino, from Vice President for ICANN for Africa. I know you're 5 on the team and you do a lot of work of 4 countries and you are African. So we will capture you to do more for our region if we have that. I'll hand over to Madam Nena. She started it and she will close it. I will leave her to close it in her own way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to say thank you to the IGF Secretariat of West Africa, Mary Folake, Joshua, Dr. Kofi, and the team. You have done a good job running the school and the forum. The whole world says this is the place where internet penetration is lowest, but we are doing our part. And first, I just want to say my congratulations and my gratitude. And for everyone that has made time to join us, thank you very much. This high-level panel is on digital inclusion and access. We are not yet there, but we are moving in the right direction. So my second word is to say, let's keep moving. Let's not stop. Yes, we have challenges. Yes, we have barriers, but it is possible for us to move from A to B. So let's keep moving. The role of the Web Foundation is to build evidence, to help to catalyze action and build coalitions. If you are in Benin, in Nigeria, in Ghana, we already have national coalitions working on affordable internet in your country. I'm happy to help in any way I can. I have finished speaking about World Wide Web Foundation and the contract for the web and digital cooperation. Now on my own behalf as a West African citizen, as someone who was born in Nigeria, who has lived in Togo, in Ghana, and now in Cote d'Ivoire, who knows all of our countries, I want to say once again, ECOWAS is our own. We are ECOWAS. When you hear West Africa, they are talking about me. They are talking about you. They're not talking just about our countries. So in as much as we are digital citizens, we're ECOWAS citizens, we're digital ECOWAS citizens. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you hold responsibilities, not just rights. In as much as we want to support you as a digital citizen, we also must make sure that we are responsible online. The people who built the web built it for positive purposes. So if you are on the web for scam, if you're on the web for criminal purposes, the laws that apply offline will also apply online. So in final words, I am happy and glad and proud to be a West African citizen, and I'm hoping to contribute my part as NENA to the growth, to the digital, inclusive, and access to the internet for my region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nena. Thank you to all the speakers, Dr. Zoli, Ferdangino, Honorable Masane, and to our only lady. At least we try to stay a little bit gender sensitive. We can do better and get another lady next time. Thank you, Nena, for that closing remark. And I hand over to Folake to close this session. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Poncelet. Thank you all for stimulating and engaging high panel session, which has actually highlighted the need for a concerted, coordinated, whole of society approach, which needs to be taken to allow our beloved region to actually think through our challenges and issues that we face at both the national and regional levels. I apologize that we ran over by 20 minutes, but there's so many interesting questions and so little time. And to just quote Nena and Adrian, time is indeed not standing still. So the forum continues tomorrow at 10 a.m. UTC. See you all then. Thank you and bye.
Bye.